Avengers. Are you out there? Avengers. Don't worry. I'm on my way. Woo! Yeah! Oh, shit, ladies and gentlemen! It's gonna be a wild one today. It's gonna be a wild one today in absolutely shocking fashion. Bob Chapek gone. Bob Chapek gone. Bob Iger back. What? What does it mean? What does it mean? And what's going to happen next? That's what we're going to get into today. And honestly, it's been a while. It's been a while since we've had absolutely insane, industry-shaking, what the fuck kind of news. And I'm very grateful to be able to sit in this tower and go over all the details and speculate about what the fuck we think is happening, because this is crazy. Make no mistake. If you don't think this is crazy, just buckle up your butthole, because I'm about to tell you why this is absolutely insane, what it could lead to. It's really, really crazy. On top of that, we actually have some absolutely insane news with regards to the Thunderbolts movie. I want to talk about Sentry and Hyperion. So we've got some nerdy shit to get into as well. And also, I think I see people gambling. Jay, what the fuck? We got the gambling taken care of. Jeez. Also, what's up with this fucking camera? Put this thing down a little bit. What the fuck? Ah, man, all you fiends, man. Look, chat, what's the 1-800? What's the gambling number? 1-800, handle your shit. Let it go. My God, dude. It's like every Monday morning, people run in here and they run into the casino real quick and they're like, yo, is this shit still on? Like pulling the thing. Man, calm down, guys. Calm down. Okay. All right. Michael Chapman, welcome back to the Nerd Ventures. You are once again a Nerd Venture now. Hey, on the topic of all of that, I just want to say, guys, a couple of really cool things. Of course, it's a holiday week. We will be doing a Thursday stream. We'll do a stream Thursday morning. Probably not a video on Thursday or whatever. Maybe I'll have one in the tank for you guys. But, yeah, we're going to go out. I'm going to celebrate some Thanksgiving stuff. I'm going to go chill, get really, really fat. Friday, we'll have a stream as well. And I think we'll be doing our regular stuff on Friday. I did want to make mention of a couple of different things. Show notes! Show notes about the streams and about things that are going on for the channel. I've decided more or less a couple of different things. First of all, the super thanks stuff is really cool. We got a couple of super thanks yesterday on the video from Friday. And so if you don't know what that is, if you watch these videos on the replay, not live, which many of you do, and you have a question or whatever, and you want to get involved in the Q&A, but you're obviously not here, so you can't do a super chat, do a super thanks. I'm going to work on getting a video edited together to show you how to do it. It's like right down by the like button, I believe. But it's a cool way for, again, if you can't make the streams live, you could still do a super thanks. And I'm going to go over all the super thanks every stream before I get into the super chats. So it's kind of like a way for you to be involved in the conversations, even if you can't make it live. So I think that's super cool. I also wanted to do on Tuesdays, I want to basically make Tuesdays reaction streams. So unless there's like really crazy news going on, I'm going to spend a lot of Tuesday streams just reacting to very popular or good videos that are within our realm, like nerdy things. Like Paul's had a couple of really interesting videos recently talking about MCU stuff. Maybe we could like react to some of those. I know that Oh my God, Rob from Comics Explained. He's working on a big Phase 4 video. Maybe we watch that together and kind of react to it. And then Friday, I will just tease that I have a very special surprise for you guys on Friday's stream this Friday and every Friday moving forward. Something that I think a lot of you guys are going to be excited about. So, I think the Friday streams are already really, really cool. But as I was thinking about stuff over the weekend, I was like, yo, I want to have kind of like a set schedule-ish for some things on the streams to kind of pump up the value proposition for the streams and whatnot. So, yeah, super cool. Look out for that on Friday. And tomorrow we will react to some videos. And, and I appreciate all of you guys for being here and just all the support recently and everything. It's been really, really cool. It's a pleasure to do this show and to get into all of these fun, nerdy things with all of you. So thank you for the support. Okay. Should we just get into it? Should we just begin breaking this down? Let me pull up the... Okay, yeah. Let me pull up what we want to get into today. Obviously, really crazy. Really, really crazy what's going on. So let's get into this. Okay. Member chat window. Okay, thank you for that. Oh, yeah, because there's actually some member chats. Got him. Okay, cool. Okay. So the first thing I want to ask to all of you. I mean, what do you guys think about this? Do you think this is a dub or an L? I would imagine most of you think it's a dub, but it's interesting because I've seen a lot of the like anti-woke crowd or whatever you want to call them, get woke, go broke, like that crowd. They're like super butthurt about this, and I'm like, why? Okay. Is Iger coming back a W? Yes or no? I'd like to know from your perspective. So, I personally believe this is one of the craziest news stories that's happened all year. And I think there's a part of how it happened, how it went down, that should really illustrate how absolutely insane it is. And we're going to speculate quite a bit because this story is developing. I mean, this shit happened on a Sunday night, dude. This shit happened on a Sunday night. A Sunday night. Disney employees get an email from Bob Iger talking about coming back. I think like 20 minutes, a half hour later, it's in the trades. And it's very real, okay? It's very, very real. And it apparently happened very, very quickly. I've spent all morning reading different articles, reaching out to different people that I know via, just social media, maybe some source people, dude, trust me, bro, etc. Just to kind of get a grasp on what is going on. The overall thing that I'm hearing is a lot of people are shocked by this. And it really does feel like a developing story. There may well be information that comes out during this stream in which we will visit and sort of recontextualize a lot of the things that we were talking about. It is absolutely bizarre. Somebody said, Grand Admiral said the stock is up 6.7%. Now that's really wild. That I assume that's true. Somebody in chat double check him, but essentially, I thought that would probably happen because Wall Street loves Bob Iger. And I think the big concept here with Iger coming in is that it feels like he is going to bring a lot of confidence back to the company as far as what it's going to be doing moving forward. We're at a time right now in the entertainment industry, and just, I guess, basically in the world, where so many things are changing. Things are so dynamic right now, right? And I actually think, and I know this is going to sound crazy, and throw a 1 into the chat if you agree with me. I expect to not see a lot of a lot of ones, but here's the take from me. My initial reaction to this was shock because all things considered, I actually don't think Chapek was doing that bad of a job. Okay? That was sort of my bird's eye view of the situation because, of course, shit's falling apart. But shit's falling apart for everybody. I mean, you're talking about a year in which, remember, it must have been like 5-6 months ago where we talked about how Netflix was imploding. It had like $1 billion of market cap, maybe even more, just wiped off. Massive downtrend on Netflix, losing subscribers to Netflix for the first time in a long, long time, right? Warner Brothers can only afford to release 2 movies, which, by the way, those 2 movies underperformed. You know what I mean? Zaslav just canceling out the Batgirl, Amazon, Twitter, all of these companies just laying off massive amounts of people. The whole world is feeling a real squeeze in an economic sense. I mean, things are sort of spiraling out of control for a lot of different companies. And in my mind, Disney was one of the only companies that was actually navigating these waters well, in my opinion. Okay? You know, they have Wakanda Forever right now, which is doing very well. And we'll talk a little bit about that later on in the show because, yeah, it had a significant drop-off. But it still seems like it's going to hit that $800 million to $900 million, maybe even $1 billion, which in the current environment seems incredible. Incredible. You know what I mean? So then you've got The Way of Water, Avatar, which there might even be another trailer that drops later today. And I think Avatar's tracking very well. I think when we get a little closer, the projections on Avatar might shock a lot of people because I think this movie's going to crush and it's going to have legs for a long, long time. Again, it just felt like, to me, Disney was actually navigating this current time in this space better than a lot of other studios. Okay, that's kind of my bird's eye view of it. Now, as I looked into this a little bit more, I'm one of the only people that probably thinks that. There are a lot of people that were really, really hard on Chapek. I mean, he literally got booed at D23. Do y'all remember that? Like, Bob Chapek got booed at D23. Okay, and we're going to look into some of these articles and speculate about, like what people are saying, et cetera, et cetera. But I think Bob Iger represents to Disney, and we'll circle back to this. I think Bob Iger represents a way for Disney to not get sold or swallowed up. I know that might sound crazy, and I know you might be like, wait, what? But if you think about the speed at which the board operated here, in, so to speak, response to what it decided to do, one of the only things that's making sense to me is that the board probably was looking at 2 options. Number 1 was maybe a sale, an acquisition, or some kind of merger. And number 2 was trying to actually navigate out of the current environment that they're in and start to show confidence that this brand and that this business, with all of its different verticals, could actually compete in the dynamic entertainment world that's now happening. Okay? It's wild. Yeah. We're gonna talk about it all, okay? So I think the first place I want to start, article dropped by Jeff Snyder, dropped yesterday, I assume kind of late after a lot of this stuff went down. So we'll get into this. We'll read this article. Then there's a tweet thread from an insider I want to look at, and we'll kind of go from there, okay? Bob Iger replaces Bob Chapek as Disney CEO, but that doesn't mean the company's problems vanish overnight, okay? Put that right there. In what many insiders observers claim is shocking news, but I'd argue was always inevitable, Bob Iger has returned to the Disney CEO, thereby replacing his hand-picked successor, Bob Chapek, atop the Mouse House, at least for the next 2 years. That's true. The contract is for 2 years. The news reportedly caught even senior Disney executives off guard. Guys, that's fucking crazy. They literally just gave this man a contract extension. Okay? People were shocked, dude. I've talked to some people behind the scenes that claim that many employees reached out to PR thinking they were as a scam or a hack or some kind of, like when people first got this email last night, they were like, bro, there ain't no fucking way, dude. Right? Even executives at Disney got caught off guard by this. This is like some Succession type shit, like scrambling the board on a Sunday evening and shit. Like, this is crazy. And when the Disney's corporate communication team announced Iger's return to the company, 190,000 global staffers, some initially thought it was a hoax. Oh, so he's talking about that too. Clearly, they haven't been paying attention to the torrent of negative press surrounding Chapek since he took over. Now, this is interesting because he's going to go into some stuff that, upon reading and sort of stepping back to think about it, I was like, yeah, I could see. You know what I mean? Like, I could see it. So, Jeff says, you'll recall Iger stepped down. And hang on, I want to put the music down a little bit. The music's a little loud to me. If you'll recall, Iger stepped down from the coveted position in February of 2020. Yo, that shit was wild. Hey, throw a 1 into the chat if you were here when Iger stepped down. I think we had like 30 people in the streams back then, maybe more, but definitely not like what we have now, right? So, man, I remember that shit. Dude, Bob Iger saw the pandy coming, essentially. There's the 30 people right there, by the way. Bob Iger saw this shit coming with the pandy and the Shanghai closing, all these different things, and he was like, I'm fucking out. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, dude, he was out, and he just tried to, like, slip out the door right as shit was about to go crazy. You know what that's like? Anybody in the restaurant industry, here's what you'll get this vibe. That's like the general manager slipping out before the dinner rush, right? Or the in between, like that shift manager, like slipping out right as like the lobby's filling up, and you're like, bro, what? Bro, do you see the people and the GM's like, good luck, you know, and like, out, bro. If you'll recall, okay, yeah, we already read that. And yet between the botched, oh shit, I didn't even finish it. Fuck. You'll recall Iger stepped down from the coveted position in 2020. He really stepped away from the limelight as he openly criticized Chapek at almost every opportunity for the past 2.5 years. Iger never really gave Chapek a chance to lead without looking over his shoulder, as he barely went away. He seemed to always be there, waiting for Chapek to slip up, as if Iger didn't step down of his own accord. The whole thing gives off some major Jay Leno vibes. What do you guys think of that? You think that's fair? Look, my perception of this is that is not true. Like, I understand where he's coming from, so we just must have different perspectives on this. Because, like, what is he talking about as far as, like, I know that Iger has made some statements here and there in the press, and some of them did seem to sort of be, like, underhanded shots at Chapek, but I've honestly never gotten the impression that he was just shitting on Chapek the whole time. You know what I mean? I don't personally have that impression, just from like the news and everything that I've seen. I'm like, I don't know about that. So Overbound Game Studio says, yes, he was. Look up, yeah, I don't know. Throw like a link into the chat, or like just remind me of like when he did that. You got that impression, says Aaliyah. Man, this is very, very interesting to see like other people's perspectives on this, you know what I mean? And yet, between the botched Scarlett Johansson negotiations surrounding Black Widow's movie to Disney Plus and the company's initial response to Florida's preposterous "Don't Say Gay" policy, Chapek's reign over the Magic Kingdom was undeniably a disaster, to the point that I'm even cold on Disneyland these days, as the most magical place on earth has been milking customers for years and become a place only rich people can afford to visit, which is not what Walt intended. There's a lot in this paragraph, but I think what really struck me as I was reading this was that it seems as though in this political climate, Chapek's moves, or the stance that he took, was kind of to piss off both sides. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know people have a lot of mixed feelings about, you know, the Florida bill and how Disney responded and how all that went. But at the end of the day, I think that it's fair to say that Disney has done a lot of stuff to try to win over more progressive audiences and, you know, people with those types of sensibilities over the last, well, maybe decade, maybe forever. Right? And it seemed like when the way that they handled that response seemed to upset everybody. Like, it didn't even seem to. My impression of that is that he drove a wedge between even more people And by like getting involved in that fight, I think he made a whole bunch of people that were already butthurt about Disney and anti-Disney even more anti-Disney. And then I think there were a lot of people left-leaning that saw that situation as like not going far enough or not actually taking that stance. And then there was like that, you know, apology that he made, and then he got engaged in the fight a little bit. You know what I mean? Because at first he was like hands off. It just seemed like maybe he wasn't the right guy to navigate such a public hot button issue, you know, in Florida. I don't know. I guess you got to wonder, like, how many people of the board, because it is a Florida-based, or is it a California-based company, Disney, I believe, right? How many people on the board, like, saw that situation and thought, like, that was a real fumbled situation, right? The other part that's interesting here is, of course, this whole idea of, like, milking customers. And I will tell you that I think that might be one of the more key issues with Disney specifically. Because whether it's the Star Wars hotel, whether it's the feeling of squeeze at a lot of the theme parks, right? Whether it's animation, you know, it just did seem like there was a squeeze and there was sort of a milking going on with Disney. So it's just kind of interesting. So let's just keep going on here. Believe me, I know that Chapek wasn't dealt an easy hand, assuming control at the start of a terrifying pandemic that forced movie theaters and theme parks to close their doors and virtually transformed the business overnight as streaming became Wall Street's top priority. Fortunately, Iger had already put those streaming wheels into motion, but Wall Street is fickle, and the economics of the streaming still don't add up. As a result, Disney stock price has taken a major hit during the Chapek era. After its recent Q3 earnings report, financial analyst Jim Cramer called it the balance sheet from hell, to the point that rumors recently surfaced that Apple was looking to buy Disney altogether. That seems premature, but then again, who knows these days? Okay, so let's stop for a second and linger on this point, because I think it's worth lingering on. Disney Plus, wildly considered to be successful, is losing Disney money. I want to repeat that, because this was the moment where I was like, ah, shit. My perceptions of what is going on are very far away from the reality of what this looks like. A lot of people are freaking out about Twitter right now. And they're like, Elon Musk is going to kill Twitter. I'll say this. If Twitter does die, it'll be debt that kills it. And it probably would have died from that debt regardless. Elon maybe accelerated it, maybe he decelerated, maybe he saved it. But regardless, it's not Elon that's going to kill Twitter, it's debt. And Disney, they got a lot of debt. Like, and this thing that they're investing and putting money into as far as the streaming service is at an operating loss, dude. Operating loss of billions of dollars. Billions. So we're over here thinking to ourselves, man, Disney's got the most subscribers. Disney Plus is dope. Like, what's the problem? The problem is it's at an operating loss at a time when the market's being squeezed. Interest rates are going through the fucking roof. And so debt is like bad right now. Like, debt is bad. So it's just really weird that, like, we're at a place where we're like, yo, Disney's killing it, like, you know, because of Disney Plus and all these different things. When you really look at the landscape, not so much. And Apple has a shit ton of cash on hand. A shit ton. They could buy Disney probably without debt and without making it a stock option thing. Like, Apple could literally buy, I don't know for sure, and I'm not an economic fucking, you know, like, look, man, I'm just some guy on YouTube, okay? Just everybody cut me a goddamn break here. But the point is, as far as I understand it, Apple's got cash on hand, baby. This is not uncommon, by the way, in recessions when things are really, really bad economically. sometimes insurmountable debt, the only way out is to get bought out. You know what I mean? Literally look at what Warner Brothers is doing right now. And, Zaslav talks a big game, and he's got the gun thing, he's got that going on, all of these things. But at the end of the day, like, if you watch the moves he is making, he's absolutely trying to make this seem like something that another company could come in and buy and cash flow and profit off of for years and years and years to come. We are at a really unprecedented time. And again, this is speculation on my part, but I believe that the board, especially after the Q3 earnings report, they were scrambling to try to figure it out. And I think, because, think of it this way. What would motivate Iger to come back? It can't be money, although I think they did probably back up a truck and just dump it all over him. It can't really be money. He's good. I think it's legacy. And when it comes to legacy, the board probably approached Iger and said, Bob, unless you come back, you will have the legacy of basically making a very profitable thing for Apple to have. That there won't be a pure Disney anymore. This legacy, this culture, all the way back to Walt and Eisner, that will be gone because this company will get sold. You know what I mean? Like, in my mind, that's one of the only things that could have probably propelled him to accept this gig and come back. Anyways, let's keep going. The fact is that Chapek was never cut out for the top job. He's a numbers guy in a relationship-driven business. Bob Iger has those relationships with A-listers because he knows how to treat top talent. Pay attention, David Zaslav. And that's why Susan Arnold, the chairman of Disney Board of Directors, called Iger uniquely situated to lead the company through this pivotal period. The man stands alone, and besides, everyone still thought of him as Mr. Disney anyways. He was never going to shake that, no matter what he did for his next act, whether he ran for president, bought a stake in a pro sports franchise. We thank Bob Chapek for his service to Disney over his long career, including navigating the company through unprecedented challenges of the pandy. Arnold said in a statement, the board has concluded that as Disney embarks on an increasingly complex period of industry transformation, like, we're really scared, Bob Iger is uniquely situated to lead the company through this pivotal period. Of course, it was just 5 months ago that the board of directors renewed Chapek's contract for 3 more years, with Arnold adding the right leader at the time for Walt Disney Company, and the board has full confidence in him and his leadership team. So much for that full confidence. At this point, after nearly 20 years as a reporter, I've come to realize that these kinds of beauty quotes, not to mention contracts, mean absolutely nothing. That's fucking crazy, dude. 5 months ago, all these people renewed this dude's contract, stood behind him, and said they had full confidence in him and his team. The switch up was crazy, dude. On a Sunday night, the week before the holidays, before another huge movie comes out in Avatar. Like, are you kidding me? Holy shit. And by the way, Chapek is gone. And we're going to get into that in a second because this really interesting tweet thread, you will probably never hear Chapek talk about what really happened. Okay. Chapek is a 30-year Disney veteran who had experience overseeing the company's theme parks, consumer products, home entertainment, and distribution divisions over the course of his career. Yeah, he bounced around a lot. But insiders are said to have described him as cold and too focused on the bottom line, which is a problem when the bottom line hasn't looked good of late, even if the circumstances are somewhat beyond his control. Then again, he left untold millions on the table, sending several animated features to Disney Plus, where it has proven impossible for them to justify their costs. I don't think he'll be too missed by either the creative community or the representation community, or even on the lot. And don't be surprised if Chapek's right-hand man, Kareem Daniels, joins him soon outside the studio gates. We could even see Peter Rice return. Who knows? It's just so crazy, dude. 30 years. You're the CEO. You just had your contract renewed. I mean, can you imagine what this like? My God, bro. I am extremely optimistic for the future of this great company and thrilled to be asked by the board to return as its CEO, Iger said in a statement. Disney and its incomparable brands and franchises hold a special place in the hearts of so many people around the globe. You know, I want to talk a little bit about China in a second, too, in the international community, because I think, you know, relationships, right? Like, that's kind of what even the homies talk about in this article, right? Like, Bob Iger is like a relationship guy. Like, he's sort of like that smooth talking, like, get it done, like, get in front of you and, like, be very personable. And, like, he's a good, like, massager of actual relationships. And I think that's a big part of business. As it currently stands, I do think there's somewhat of a weird, harsh divide between definitely China, but also a lot of other places around the globe with regards to Disney. And one must wonder, like, is Iger looking to try to mend some of those relationships and try to help those things out? I'm not really sure, and I know a lot of us have mixed feelings about that. Like, I don't think they should kowtow to the CCP in any way, shape, or form. But if you're a shareholder and you're looking at, like, the fact that no Marvel movie has gotten in since... well, I guess Spider-Man did get in, but no Marvel movie other than Spider-Man has gotten in since Endgame. That's kind of tough. You know what I mean? And you're probably looking at like close to $1 billion of revenue missed there. So I don't know. It's a really interesting thing, but I do agree that, like, in his statement, you know, saying around the globe, it almost feels purposeful. You know what I mean? Most especially in the hearts of our employees, whose dedication to this company and its missions is an inspiration. I am deeply honored to be asked again to lead this remarkable team with a clear mission focused on creative excellence to ensure generations through unrivaled, bold storytelling. It's pretty wild, dude. And you can read his whole letter here as well, right? Now I want to go and talk about this crazy ass thread here, because there's a lot of really interesting details kind of mentioned here and talked about here. And then we're going to talk about Kathleen Kennedy. Kathleen Kennedy. Kathleen Kennedy. So Robert Iger is back as the Disney CEO. The Disney board made the offer yesterday, and he accepted this morning with low compensation package. He was literally... I'm hearing 12 hours. Took about 12 hours. And he was like, yeah, I'm good. Let's do it. That's pretty wild, dude. Bob Chapek, so he's got low compensation package. Bob Chapek was fired as a result of with a large severance package. More info as I can share it. Full announcement on deadline. Here's the official press release. As for what is happening with Bob Chapek, I am hearing that there is a non-disparagement and non-disclosure clause in his termination agreement. Don't think we'll be hearing from him anytime soon about what he thinks. Yeah, I think he's going to sort of ride off into the sunset. I don't know that he'll ever pop up like majorly as a relevant figure ever again within the media space, but who knows, maybe. It's also unclear as of now, but I expect Bob Iger will be tapping some of his former executives that left the company when he left to return as well. He has lots to do, and he may stop by the Disney lot to begin as early as this week before Thanksgiving. Before fucking Thanksgiving. That shit is crazy. The Disney board has apparently been simmering on removing Chapek for a while. Many internally believe that the poor performance in the Q4 financials reported just a few weeks ago was the final nail in the coffin. That's so interesting. So it seems like he'd been on thin ice, and then the report was that bad. It was that bad, guys. Like, it was that bad. The most interesting tidbit about all of this, Bob Iger thought about returning to Disney for only 12 hours before he said yes to the Disney board, accepting the offer for CEO for 2 years. Wow. On a Sunday. On a Sunday, guys. My God. My God. Now, a couple other things that we got to talk about here. Let's talk about KK. Let's talk about Kathleen Kennedy. This is a really good take by this guy. He says the amount of behind-the-scenes maneuvering, last-minute meetings, and complicated payouts that had to be facilitated for this to happen makes my head spin. The story that will be coming out soon and the major shakeups yet to happen. ... Buckle up. Major shakeups yet to happen? Buckle up? I don't even have the champagne yet. I'm taking this. It's getting hot in here from all the speculation. Whew. I gotta take my clothes off. Because I'm so excited about the possibility. I want to show you something else. Steve Frosty Weintraub. Here, I'll pull it down so you can actually see his name on here. I'd been hearing Bob Chapek was on thin ice with the Disney board. Looks like the source was telling the truth. Same source said someone else is on thin ice with the Disney board. We'll let you guess who that is. I mean, look, here's the deal, right? Like, I got really excited about this. I was like, hey, man, maybe it's Kathleen Kennedy. Like, that would be pretty wild, okay? I reached out to a ton of different people, and honestly, it really doesn't seem like that's going to happen. And a lot of people that I talked to were like, maybe after Indiana Jones or, you know, whatever. But I gotta tell you, I'm kind of split on this because, yes, conventional wisdom says no fucking way. But conventional wisdom also says no fucking way they'd bring Bob Iger back, full stop, no matter what. There's no way that's going to happen. He was interviewed about this a couple of months ago and called it ludicrous, I believe, is the word he used. They were like, there are rumors that you're going to come back to be CEO. He's like, those are ludicrous. Luda. Backseat, windows up. It's ludicrous, dude. Here we are. On top of that, it would be absolutely absurd for all of this to happen on a Sunday night. Like, you might say, yeah, no, there's no way they're going to fire KK. And I know this could be the Pixar person, right? Because this is the Pixar castle or something of that nature. Is that what people are saying? I think this is just the Disney castle. I don't even know that that's confirmed to be the Pixar castle. That looks like the Disney castle to me. The only other person that I can think of that's of Bob Chapek level disliking is Kathleen Kennedy. Because, bro, they took 3 years away from a billion-dollar franchise to focus on making movies, and all that shit fell apart. All of it. We just recently talked about how Disney literally came to Kathleen Kennedy and said, shut your whore mouth about these projects. Ain't nobody got time for that shit. You're just gonna fuck it up anyways, Kathy. So don't even mention it. I mean, there's a level of the hate for Kathleen Kennedy that is unfair and that is toxic. I'm sorry to say, I have gone to the dark side completely. I cannot control myself anymore, and I am really, like, unhealthily toxic about Kathleen Kennedy. I want her gone. I want her gone yesterday, and I will crack champagne when she goes. And yes, I acknowledge that that's real cringy, toxic fucking energy, but I can't help myself. But if you take all of that kind of shit away, take the fanboy butthurt out of it, just straight facts, straight business, she's fucking up, dude. There's no movies. Where are the movies? Where are they? Kathy? Hello? You took a 3-year break. You're supposed to have a movie out next year. That shit ain't happening. The closest one will be 2025. 2025. You know, and look, I'll mention the Andor thing slightly, and I'm not going to go super hard on this because, look, I know many of you like Andor. Okay? I get it. I genuinely hate the show. But I acknowledge that it's not a terrible show. It's not Oompa Loompas, Looney Tunes, Kenobi bad. But make no mistake, it is absolutely failing for Disney. They just came out with Nielsen numbers for, I believe, week 7, where the show is supposed to be the best that it's ever been. And it's somehow sinking on the Nielsen charts. It's getting worse. As time is going on, it is getting worse for Andor. Okay? So, no movies. An incredible amount of bad PR. Whether it's the $5,000 stay in the Andor prison hotel, or the $5,000 take this shot on this cruise that comes in a cool thing that you don't get to keep shot. I mean, it's just on and on with the negative PR that is following Star Wars, this big stinky storm cloud that won't go away from the brand. And then on top of that, your streaming show that you paid butt tons of money for, and you got all these really prolific, talented people like Tony Gilroy, etc., it is getting worse than She-Hulk numbers. I mean, if there was ever a time, I mean, honestly, I would say years ago would be the time. But if there was ever a time to, like, face the fucking music when it comes to Star Wars, now is the time. Now is the time. And, you know, look, I know a lot of people are really, really excited about Indiana Jones. And in some ways, I think, and I'm going to lean back for a second here, just get real comfy with you guys, talk through this next part. In some way, I could see that having Kathy ride off into the sunset with Indiana Jones 5 could be a really nice gesture for her. You know, and the conventional wisdom again says, yeah, let that happen. However, I want to ask you guys a question. Do you think that the current fandom that likes Lucasfilm properties, this includes Indiana Jones and Star Wars, and I guess Willow, whatever the fuck that is, do you think that there is a portion of people within that fan base that are not excited about Indiana Jones, partially, if not fully, because of what Kathleen Kennedy has done to Star Wars? I want to repeat that question, and I want you to let me know in chat, yes or no. Do you think there's a portion of the audience that is less likely to watch Indy 5 or get excited about Indy 5 because of Kathleen Kennedy's treatment of Star Wars? I'm not asking if you think that's fair, rational. I'm asking if you think it's real. Possibly, says Stefan. Yeah, I think most rational people would say yes. And so here's the thing, man. Fuck that noise. Get that bitch out of here. Like, the movie would be better off without her. Like, I don't know what else to say. The movie would, in my opinion, the movie would be better off without her. Get her the fuck out of there. Let Harrison Ford take point on promoting the movie. I don't need to see Kathleen Kennedy. Period. Full stop. Don't need to see her. Don't want to hear her say shit. Get her out of there. I would literally be more willing to check out Indy 5 if that were to be the case. And I know it's so toxic. I'm sorry, mama. So I think, and I suppose, we'll just wait and see. But I gotta tell you, it would be so great It would be so great if they fired this bitch before 8 p.m. tonight Eastern Standard Time so we could crack some champagne on Nerd Theory together and, yes, be toxic as fuck about it. I'm sorry, it's well past the point of me being mature or even-handed about this. I'm trying not to, like, especially when it comes to Andor and whatnot, I don't want to attack the fan base as much anymore. Like, I apologize about that. But as far as, like, what is going on with the actual business and brand of Star Wars, I am fucking appalled. I am beyond livid. It's damn ridiculous. So, bye. Hopefully. We'll see. Okay. Anyway, let's talk now about something different, something nerdy, something fun, something hype. Well, my forehead looks a little sweaty there. Looks a little sweaty. Am I getting sweaty, getting so hot and bothered by Kathleen Kennedy? Pause. Okay. Did you guys see the rumors? Good thing you don't have dandruff. Yeah, or maybe the green screen is just taking it out, huh? Okay. Did y'all hear about this Hyperion shit? Let me see. Let me pull this up. Let me pull this up. Did y'all hear about this? You know about this? You hear about this? Did you hear about this? You know about this? Marvel is reportedly interested in Ryan Gosling and Alexander Skarsgård for the male villain role in Thunderbolts. The movie is being described as evil Superman. Grace Randolph and Daniel Rickman are both tagged in this, okay? But here's the thing. There's actually some confusion out there among the different scoopers and leakers as to what this means. Now, let me tell you what let me tell you what they think they know. Okay? Shit dropped right after I edited a video saying Skrull would be villains in Thunderbolts. Bro, I spent all Saturday working on a video about a Kang Dynasty leak only to have some sources confirm that it is fake, and then I was like, fuck! And so then I, just decided not to release the video. So I know your pain, okay? Now, let's get into this. So what the deal is this. According to many different folks, there's going to be an evil Superman as the main villain of the Thunderbolts. That's pretty well established. It's on a lot of different documentation, I'll say. That's official from Marvel. And so it really seems like, yes, an evil Superman is going to be the villain of Thunderbolts. Now, let's just pause for a second and talk about how fucking awesome that is. Thunderbolts is essentially going to be The Boys now. Okay? So, as many people have brought up, the actual, lineup for the Thunderbolts is it's kind of like mid, power level wise, and just kind of hype wise, right? You've got a few super soldiers on there. In fact, I think most of them are actually super soldiers in some way, shape, or form, right? But even David Harbour kind of described them as losers. Okay? And all of these characters are going to have to stop a character that is way more powerful than them. The evil Superman character. Okay? As far as we understand it, yeah, they were absolutely looking at people very much like Alexander Skarsgård and Ryan Gosling. By the way, Ryan Gosling, he's being looked at for a lot of Marvel roles. This is pretty common. I think you guys understand this. Many of you that are, in these streams quite a bit, or you watch the videos, you understand that when an actor is approached by Marvel or approaches Marvel, usually there's many different characters on the table for them. I've heard Gosling attached to Wonder Man. I've heard Gosling attached to Doctor Doom. I've heard Gosling attached to Richard Rider or Nova. I've heard Gosling now attached as either Hyperion or Sentry for this movie. And I think that's really fucking cool. And so I think that the Thunderbolts movie, having this ragtag group of people, it really feels very akin to The Boys. Because The Boys is essentially about, at least initially, people that have no powers trying to take down supes and really, really powerful people. And it's all about Homelander. And that formula obviously works. And so Thunderbolts kind of being a version of the boys within the MCU and possibly being a little bit more mature and darker, I'm all about it. I think it's sick. I think it's fucking awesome. But it is unclear as to whether or not it will be Hyperion or Sentry. Okay? And when I talk, because I talked to Daniel about this a little bit this morning, because I was like, dude, like, what's the deal with this? And also, please tell me Kathleen Kennedy got fired, and nobody's been able to fucking do that. But anyway, what he said was, he thinks it's going to be Sentry. The only thing he talked about was the fact that it's evil Superman. Grace went on to say she thought it was Hyperion for sure. Casey Walsh is saying that it's the Squadron Supreme. Therefore, he, I believe, thinks it's Hyperion as well. And so there's two schools of thought here. Hyperion or Sentry. Okay? But when I talked to Daniel about it, he said he thinks it's probably going to be Sentry. And his reasoning for this is really interesting. Sentry, many people forget, including myself, is a super soldier. Sentry actually took a super soldier serum, I believe called the Sentry serum. Okay? And when he takes that, he gets the power of, 1,000 or 1,000,000 exploding suns. Okay? Like 1,000,000 exploding suns. And in the comics, like the Sentry, bro, if you've not read the initial Sentry run, it was so weird because essentially the entire world had forgotten that Sentry was a hero. 1,000 dying suns. I thought it was exploding suns, bro. 1,000,000 exploding suns. 10,000 explode. Are we the kind of know some shit about nerdy stuff, or are we the goddamn nerd Avengers? Can somebody get on that and get me a clarification, please? As I stare at a screen that has Google that I could... Anyway. In the comic books, the Sentry takes this, he becomes like way too fucking powerful, and then there's this entity known as the Void. And, at least initially, the Void is not very well understood, but what is understood is that they need to get the world to forget that the Sentry ever existed or was a hero. And in the comics, I believe it's Reed Richards that helps the Sentry with technology, like do something to where the entire world forgets that the Sentry is real and was a big hero. And so it's almost like the Sentry was one of the first awesome, dope-ass heroes everybody loved. And then the Void happens and like does some really horrible things. And so they decide the only way to solve this problem is to have Sentry's memory wiped, but also have the entire planet forget that Sentry ever existed. So if you think about it, you've got a team of super soldiers that have all been messed with mentally some way, shape, or form, okay? And then you've got Sentry, who's this like god level being. God level. I fucking love the Sentry, bro. Like, I think, by the way, I think Sentry way stronger than Hyperion. That's just me. Maybe it's debatable. Maybe we get some power scaling experts in here. Maybe Rob can, chime in on that. But in my opinion, I've always thought Sentry way stronger than Hyperion. And especially when the Void is at play. I mean, the Void is so powerful that essentially in the middle of Siege, when the Void, like, takes over... like that book just totally changes and becomes like, we need to stop this. It's literally going to fucking destroy the entire universe, right? So Sentry's really, really powerful. But I could also see how it's really intriguing from a character perspective. If the Sentry just pops up and starts causing chaos, the Thunderbolts are assigned to go take this person out. And then they slowly realize over the course of the film that the Sentry is actually a super soldier like them, maybe even created by Ross or other people within the government. That's kind of an intriguing idea. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of an intriguing idea. I like that. So, We don't know for sure. I actually have a big video that I'm working on that's going to explain the real reason, or sort of like why I think Feige is introducing all of these really powerful characters, because like the power level is rising in the MCU with like all the rumors going forward. I think there's a specific reason why. So I have a video coming out about that, but I did want to go over this with you guys and just kind of thoroughly explain the confusion here, because you've got people out there on Twitter saying that Hyperion and Sentry are going to be the villain. That's not true. According to the documentation, the evil Superman character that they're casting for is the main villain, and we don't know exactly who that character is. Could be Sentry, could be Hyperion, could be Blue Marvel, could be... I mean, I don't think it's going to be like Wonder Man. I don't think he's of that level necessarily, but yeah, characters like that I think are who it could be. So... kind of interesting. What do you guys think of that? What do you make of all of that? I'd love to know your thoughts. One other thing I think I want to go over, just because I think it's kind of funny. I saw this pop up. I want to show you two different clips from one Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and just show you the well, you can see for yourself. Here we go.
Fans have waited decades to see their favorite JSA characters come alive on the big screen.
Really quickly, I know that a lot of fans are super excited that we are introducing JSA after all these years. And a lot of the questions were about the JSA, the Justice Society of America.
Fans have waited decades to see their favorite JSA characters come alive on the big screen.
Really quickly, I know that a lot of fans are super excited that we are introducing JSA after all these years. And a lot of the questions were about the JSA, the Justice Society of America.
Okay, so that was him a few weeks ago. This is him more recently.
No one knew who Black Adam was. No one knew who the Justice Society was. A year ago, no one knew who Black Adam was. No one knew who the Justice Society was. A year ago, no one knew who Black Adam was. No one knew who the Justice Society.
Okay, and this is in response to IGN, comparing Black Adam and Black Panther. Okay. And so you see that, when he talked about this, he said, what a neutral post. I love competing, but IGN, you guys are in the biz with us, and there's no competing with an established global brand of Black Panther compared to Black Adam and the JSA, who a year ago no one had even heard of. No need to knock us. We're new babies and have to grow. What? Because literally about 4 months ago, you were while promoting the film, talking about how excited all these fucking fans were to come, see the JSA, and now you're saying nobody knows who the fuck the JSA is. Well, which one is it, Dwayne? And also, why'd you make a movie about a bunch of characters that nobody gives a fuck about or doesn't know who they are? What the fuck are you talking about, bro? What are you talking about, bro? And you know what's so funny? Is this guy's I don't want to be president. I wanted to be president, but now I don't want to be president. I don't know. Seems like the perfect kind of president. The perfect politician to me. Talk out both sides of your mouth and only speak fact when it supports whatever your current agenda is, which seems to be flipping week to week. So I don't know, man. I guess I'm back on the fuck you rock train, because that was absurd, in my opinion. Okay. Just want to get that out of my system. I feel much better. I hope you guys feel better too. Okay. Okay. Let's get into some Q's and some A's. And I do want to go over the two what are these things fucking called again? Super thanks. I want to go over the super thanks that people put on the Friday show. And again, we're going to go over these each day when we do a stream. We'll do these before we technically get into the super chats and stuff like that. There is a way for you to do a super thanks. So if you're watching this on the replay, and you still want to be a part of the content, you have a question about something we talked about, whether it's Bob Chapek, whether it's the fucking Rock, or whether it's the Century thing, you can do it. Put it on the video as a super thanks, and I will read it the next day on the stream. Okay, so the first one was Darth Baba. And on Friday, he said, the chart you made will go down in Nerdventure history. LOL. Much love, Josh. I gotta say, do you guys agree? If you were there on Friday, do you think that the X-Men chart that I made will go down in history? Like, do you think it was... Like, is that the best chart you've ever seen? Oh, yeah, it was Thursday. Oh, my God. Yeah, we did take Friday off. Yeah. So Dirt Wizard says yes. Yes, the chart's a W. Were topics today. I slept in. Wait, what? Bro, go back to sleep because you are not rested. Yes, and I haven't seen it. My man. 100%. Yes. In my opinion, that was the first chart there ever was. Damn! The chart was something of a historical moment. Damn, I had no idea. Only thing you missed was A38 and X-Men 97 are the same. I know you feel that way, and maybe. I just charted in my pants. Right on. Next up is Chris Cody, who said as a super thanks, imagine a Ravencroft Arkham Asylum style movie starring Spider-Man and or Daredevil. Marvel needs to do this. You know what's so funny, bro, is like, I think there's a real interesting point that you brought up there, Chris, because like Spider-Man has one of the best rogues galleries ever. Why the fuck is Sony taking all of them and making them into movies without Spider-Man? It is so, like, bizarre, bro. But yeah, it would be sick, dude. Get an Arkham Asylum style with all these different supervillains, the rogues gallery of these characters coming in. I appreciate the support, Chris, and I'm with you, man. I definitely think that would be a good idea. So thanks for all the love. And now, let's go over today's Super Chats and Members Chats. Holy crap, first one in today was... Wait, I think there was one before this one, but it's not popping up for me. So I apologize if I missed one. Overbound Game Studio with a $20 hauler. Very generous. Says, boo, Bob Iger. Bought George's sequel trilogy and then hid it from the world. George will probably be gone before anyone gets to see his final story in any form. I have all the rage of a Sith about it. Also, we need a buckle up emoji. Okay, well, I think the buckle up emoji we could probably do. I mean, look, I gotta say that I feel pretty, as far as Bob Iger taking over, I don't know that I care a lot either way. You know, as I kind of said at the top, I didn't even think Chapek was doing that bad of a job. However, when you sort of dig in and you look at some of the numbers and things, it's like, I could see it. I think Bob Iger is like a more likable guy. I think a lot of the employees are going to be very, very excited about this. I think a lot of Disney's foreign partnerships are going to be excited about this. Wall Street, I think, is going to be excited about this. But yeah, I think it's fair to say that there are a lot of people that didn't like Iger, especially because of the George Lucas stuff in his book. I've read that chapter. I've read that book. I'm not as butthurt about it as a lot of other people are. I understand the logic of Iger in that situation. And I honestly think that, like, Kathy probably should have lobbied for George in that situation and been like, no, like, I really think we should go with George's stuff here. So, I don't know, but that is interesting. You know, there are definitely some Iger haters, that's for sure. Justin Soforo says, 1-800-9-WIT-HIT. The fuck? Is that the gambling thing? Chase Moore says, doesn't Feige have a better relationship with Iger than Chapek, or am I tripping? I would assume so. Yeah, I would assume so. You know, for a long time, Feige just reported to Iger. And I think Alan Horn as well, but basically he sidestepped Perlmutter, and that was because he went right to Bob Iger about it. So yeah, I would assume that Bob Iger has a better relationship with Kevin Feige. He actually has a better relationship with Kathleen as well. So that's another thing that people are bringing up where they're like, I don't know, if anything, Bob might protect Kathleen, and that's fair because he does seem to have a better relationship with her than Chapek did. Like, a lot of people were like, yo, if anybody was going to fire KK, it was going to be Chapek. But also, man, if the board, like, I guess I just don't know for sure where the board's head is at. Because, like, again, it really does seem like they're the haste and messiness of how this went down would indicate to me that they are being highly motivated to make big time decisions in a tight time frame. So I don't know if anybody's safe. You know what I mean? It's interesting though. Chris says, as a former cast member for 9 years, this man was a cancer to this company. Iger is extremely well liked within the company. Big W. Yeah, I have heard that from many different people. Many different people are talking about how this is so good for the employees. It's pretty wild. But thank you, Chris. Overbound Game Studio with a $10 holla says, don't like Chapek, but seems like numbers were bad because of massive debt Iger racked up and loss of profit from sources outside of Disney Plus. Less than a year isn't enough. Your sale take could be spot on. Yeah. I mean, we're gonna have to wait and see. But I don't think it's such a crazy idea. But that's kind of what I think is going on. Just Fernie says, back in my time with Disney, Iger was cool, but not amazing. But Chapek was awful and made decisions that made cast members' life worse. So Iger coming back is lowercase w for me. Okay, nice, Fernie. Everybody send some love to Fernie too, man. Get some hearts in the chat for Fernie. He's still dealing with some stuff. He's going into the doctor today. I'm not going to put all of his business out there, but I feel bad. I hope that he finds some peace. Aaliyah says, Iger has good instincts, yet when he was chair and CEO, too much power. Now that he cannot be both, I don't feel nervous. Employees are happy. That's true, and that's a good point. Yeah, the employees are very happy, for sure. Dude got fired on his day off. Hope he wasn't stealing boxes. Yeah, it's pretty wild, huh? On a Sunday, no less, huh? That's what I mean. It's like, it's so weird. Like, they moved quick, bro. I'm not sure why, but they moved quick. Matthew says, any advice on dealing with romantic rejection? I am getting comfortable putting myself out there, but sometimes rejection still hurts so much. I think rejection will probably always hurt. There's so much that goes into a question like that, right? Because there's a question of your own mental health, and then there's a question of your own personal growth, which I don't think are actually the same thing. They're connected, but I don't think they're the same thing. So, rejection can hurt really, really bad. And I think it can hurt even more when you don't have a really good baseline and framework for how you think your life is going. So, man, there's like I could do a whole thing on this, but I would just say this. There's a part of maturity that comes from accepting rejection and what it means. There's also a part of grieving that comes from just kind of living in a moment and letting the pain happen. And I think the balance between the two is like allow the sadness to be there, express the emotion, but then you got to kind of like pull yourself together and as best you can take that rejection with your chin held high. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the best advice I can give you. And honestly, the path to having a better relationship is to having a better self. Like, you have got to do a lot of self work. Because that's really the only thing you can control. You can't really control these other people, whether or not they reject you. All you can control is yourself. Try to bring value. Try to be, try to bring some qualities. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's a tough one, bro. Ben Edwards says, good riddance to Bob Paycheck. Yeah, I know. A lot of people feel that way. They're like, fuck you, Bob. Kenzie says, member for 19 months, says, if they sell Star Wars, that could give the bump in their capital. I don't think the man that closed the deal wants to be the man that negotiates the sell. You know what I mean? I think legacy is at stake here, and I think what Iger is looking to do is solidify his legacy, not tarnish it. So it's an interesting thought, and maybe it'll still come to that. But I don't think that's what he's doing. Star Wars Dog says, so sad Jason D. Frank is gone on the 30th year anniversary year too. Yeah, it's a tough one, man. He committed self-deletion. which made it even harder. Because it's like, on the one hand, it's like, oh man, that's tragic that he passed. On the other hand, it's tragic that he passed that way. And again, there's a whole thing you could get into there, man. What I'll say is this: check on your homies. You know, check on your homies. Men struggle with mental health in a different way than women for the most part. That's a generalization, but I think it's mostly true. Suicide rates for men are way higher. Our life expectancy is way lower. And there are a lot of different reasons why. Check on your homies. Like, really check on them, man. You know? Nick D with a $20 holla says, stretches, cracks knuckles, assumes fighting stance. Josh, the D&D movie will not make a Billy Kill Bill music starts. Well, first of all, that's very generous, $20. And thank you so much for the support. I think it will. You know, I thought a lot about it. A lot of you guys were like, ain't no way. And I was like, okay, I kind of see their point. You know, it seems like a lower budget, kind of just fun, like romp ride, whatever. But fuck that. $1 billion. I'm calling it right now. $1 billion. Yeah, that's right. I said it. What does Iger do for Star Wars? Better or worse? He made decisions on sequels, right? Hope Elisa and Liam are great. Much love to you all. Well, thank you, Showroom Service. I really appreciate that. What will Iger do for Star Wars? I really don't know. I mean, it kind of depends on, like, what does the board want to do with Star Wars? Because, again, if Kathleen Kennedy is that person that they're all really frustrated with, which I tend to believe she is, you either put the pressure on, give her some kind of way out, and work on the future, or you just boot her. The problem with Star Wars, though, is there's no Bob Iger waiting to come back and return us to glory. Who would take over Star Wars? And maybe that'll be the topic that we touch on Nerd Theory tonight, and we'll see how the news day goes. By the way, has anything crazy happened? Are there any updates? Any updates out there, guys? Is any crazy things happening? Any updates to the story? The thing with Kathy is that there's nobody that wants that job, bro. You know what I mean? No, I did not catch the new Rick and Morty. There was Joseph Campbell bit, though? Ooh, okay, I like that. I mean, wouldn't that be nuts if George came back? Don't even say that, Stevie. But yeah, he'd probably be the only one. He'd probably be the only one that could. Are we gonna get the old boys back in town? The boys are back in town. The Rock is taking over Star Wars. Oh man, that'd be like for real goodbye for me. That'd be like, no thanks. George plus John and Dave. I mean, that would be a nice trifecta. I just don't know, man. That's the one thing that's really making it a tough decision with Kathy, is that they just fired Michelle Rejwan, who's going to probably be the person to take over. Who else, man? Nobody wants that job, bro. That's what's crazy. Like, Star Wars is in a very difficult, precarious position. Alicio says, I hope Iger doesn't force Disney to kneel to China because of the LGBTQ will be pissed. And I hope he does what Chapek continued to do and lets Daredevil Born Again be on Disney Plus, TVMA, and Daredevil 3 be rated R. Well, I think actually Iger himself made some comments about rated R stuff. And it would appear that that's a decision that the entire company is on board with. I highly doubt Iger would turn direction on that. It is possible that he would turn direction on the China stuff. I really don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But, you know, look, the truth is, in my opinion, like, China's been playing games. Like, they've been playing games where they're like, well, cut this out, cut that out, cut this out. And then sometimes they'll still reject a movie. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Is Iger the guy? The question is, did China change its policy because of its own strategy? Or did they change their policy because of Disney changing something? If it's the latter, then it's possible that business relationship would be mended. If it's not, I think it would be a massive mistake to continue to try to mend that relationship. Like, they're fucking with you at this point. You know what I mean? Axid said, member for 22 months, says, Chapek will be working at Warner Brothers next week. Oh, God, I hope not. Oh, God, I hope not. Did you see the Hollywood Reporter list all 70 Marvel movies ranked? I'd love a breakdown stream. Dude, your reaction would be amazing. I was so triggered reading it. Take my money. Maybe I'd do that, Finto. Maybe. You know, I want to react to some stuff tomorrow, but maybe we could fit that in. Cole Wallace with a $5 holla says, are you a fan of any Taylor Sheridan shows or movies? Wind River or Hell or Highway, Yellowstone, Sicaria, Mayor of Kingstown? I think the only one of those I saw was Wind River. Isn't that the one with the it's with Scarlet Witch and Hawkeye, and they're on the Indian reservation? I think I've seen that one. But other than that, bro, no, not really. Just not familiar with the work. Chris says, hey, look, Chris, we just went over your other message there. So this is my annual message letting you know that you should watch Yu Yu Hakusho. Also, Moon Knight, Ravencroft, Arkham Asylum style movie needs to happen. Keep up the great work, brother! Much love, man. Appreciate you. Mandalore with a $10 holla says, hello there, you beautiful bald man, you. Question. Do you think KK will be removed if Indy 5 tanks? Will she be removed before? Or will she keep going like the Energizer Bunny? And why hasn't she been removed yet? I don't know why she hasn't been removed yet. I really don't. I know that they seem to be wanting to protect her and her reputation, which, by the way, a company should look out for its own executives and people that have been with it for a long, long time. So I don't think that's necessarily bad, but that can lead to mistakes and oversight and things of that nature. What's going on with Kathy? I really don't know. You know, I sort of made the point earlier that I think actually Indy 5 would be better off without her. So we'll wait and see. We wait with bated breath, Mandalore. Joe, you are a Nerdventure again. C-Dub for the $10 holla says, if KK is out and Filoni or Favreau don't want the job, who would you want to take over at Lucasfilm? Kevin Feige. The problem is that, of course, Kevin Feige is already scrambling to even make the MCU sort of on the same level that it was before, or sort of repair some of the damage that Phase 4 has done. So there might have been a time when Feige could have done both. I don't know if that's the case anymore. But Kevin Feige would absolutely be my number one pick. I suppose the John and Dave combo team would be great. George coming back would be incredible. I mean, I've heard Walter Hamada mentioned, which is horrifying. But Hamada just signed some other thing, so it looks like that's not going to happen. Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question. That is the question of the day. Ben Edwards says, do you think the Thunderbolts will end up in Wakanda and free Zemo, who then becomes the leader of the team, which could be why he wasn't shown at D23? So, dude, trust me, bro, told me that Zemo is currently not in the script at all. But, and maybe I mentioned this earlier, maybe I didn't, the Thunderbolts movie is being reworked heavily right now. Essentially, Feige looked at it and said, this is not a big enough idea. And so they're reworking it right now. So maybe Zemo does get put in there, maybe not. I don't really know. But Feige seems to be really focused on quality and making sure that the rest of these movies and shit really, really pop. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. Oh, shit. Sub-Zero Visuals with a member 5 months says, yo, Josh, love the stream. Thoughts on maybe getting Anthony Starr for Hyperion/Sentry? I think it would be awesome. Maybe too close to Homelander. Yeah, maybe a little too on the nose. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like his performance as Homelander a lot, but I do think it would be a little bizarre to essentially do a version of that character with the same actor. I don't know. That might be a little too much for people. H. Conte says, The Rock needs to stop embarrassing himself. Yeah, I agree. Don Bashon says, can we take a moment and acknowledge the loss of Jason David Frank? If you're having a problem, please talk with someone before it's too late. Yep, I agree. I think people need to try to talk about their problems and issues a little bit more. I also think that, like, look, it's tough from a celebrity angle. Like, there's just weird anxieties that come with that because, like, a divorce is hard enough. You know, I lived through one with my parents when I was 15. Divorce is devastating, dude. Like, dark. Devastating, right? But I think when you're also a celebrity and you realize just the sort of feedback loop that you're going to be in and how that's going to affect so many aspects of your life, it, like, amplifies that stress, that energy, that pain. And especially nowadays when cancel culture and the sort of online energy seems so combative and unforgiving. It's just a very harsh, like, I was kind of like of the mind that I think society in general should, like, take a step back and just try to humanize people a little bit more. But yeah, it's very tough. Daryl says, I don't know. The Hyperion Thunderbolts rumor is giving me Ayer Suicide Squad vibes than The Boys. Yikes. Well, I think there's probably some of that as well in there. And I do think they're going to emulate certain things from Ayer's Suicide Squad. for sure. But it's that same kind of vibe. Like, I don't think it's so wild to say The Boys, the original Suicide Squad, like, these are thematically very similar. So, maybe it's both. Vandolph the Black with a $5 holler says, if you take KK out of it and you leave Dave in his spot for purpose of creativity, who would you like to take her spot? Much love. Take my money. It's a tough one, bro. It's a very tough one. I don't have a good answer. You know, there's all sorts of names and people that come up, but I don't know. I don't know who would be the only dubs I could see would be like John and Dave and George from the perspective of the fan base. I mean, who else could it be? Like, do you guys have some picks? Rick Berman? Who's Rick Berman? What does he do? Who's Rick Berman? I'm not familiar with Rick Berman. Only on a Nerd Venture stream can you go from a suicide PSA to talk about the Suicide Squad. True. Star Trek? Star Trek? I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. Bill Burr? 100%, man. Give him the job. Rick Berman for Lucasfilm president, says Overbound Game Studios. Wait, god damn it. The fuck, man. God damn it. The fuck, god damn it. Where's this at? Did you just delete those? Rick Berman for Lucasfilm president, and you make a trilogy with George plus Don. I mean, yeah, I get it. Do people really like this dude? Doug Chang? Yo, watch that anti-Star Wars Trek shit. Wait, what? Give the job to Theory? I'd love to. If I could wave a magic wand and give the job to Theory, I would. And it would be amazing to also document how that would work. It'd be pretty interesting. Showcase Sabers with a $10 holla says, bring back George to do episode 10. Can make the new sequel trilogy show they were going to make. Storyline, Ray wakes up on Octu and finds episode 8 and 9 were a force vision. Retcon the sequels! Let George's saga end! Ah, shit. Here we go again. Appreciate the love. Sozin's comment says, yo, Josh, I gotta know, you'd rather rewatch Andor or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Please do a diamond stream the day KK gets fired. I'm trying to pop some champagne too. Shout out to the baby Avenger. Thanks, bro. I would definitely rather watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, look, man. I get it. Like, y'all like Andor. I get it. But I can't, like, this isn't an act. I fucking hate that show. Like, bro, I hate that show. So, yeah, it's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for me. Thanks for the love. Brendan DeLumpa, member for 6 months, says, woke trash! Hey, look, I know you're trying to trigger me or whatever, but I'm very zen today. You know, I'm very zen today. Elijah with a $20 outlet says, George describes the Force as a force of nature like fire. It does what it does without bias. However, he also uses personification language, like the Force has a will. What are your thoughts about the personification of the Force? Yeah, so I've always sort of thought about the idea of the cosmic force and the living force as this really interesting relationship of going back and forth. The cosmic force absolutely has influence on the living force, but then the living force transfers into the cosmic force. So as things die, they kind of go in from the living force then into the cosmic force. The way I think of it is it's almost like this cosmic consciousness that's of all of the sort of like will and energy of anything that's ever been alive. And that's sort of the cosmic force. And yeah, the cosmic force, I personally believe, does have a lot of influence. Like, I always thought it would have been really interesting if the concept of the Chosen One and like why Rey was as powerful as she was sort of going to be explored as this conduit from the cosmic force. There, in the books, they explore this idea more than they do in the movies. Like in the Last Jedi novelization, like Luke talks about how if he were to come back, he would only make Kylo more powerful or Snoke more powerful, because it's like powerful light, powerful darkness in this sort of like balancing act. And that always felt like a cosmic idea to me, right? And so it would be interesting to see something like that explored, and maybe that's what George's scripts were about, as far as like the midichlorians, those organisms, and you know, all that sort of shit. But yeah, that's kind of the way I see it. Jack Delisole says JDF's daughter also took her own life. It's so sad. Damn. I mean, I'm sure that'll do a fucking number on you, bro. Like, god damn. A lot of pain in the world. Dirt Wizard with a $10 hello says, good morning, sir. Great stream as usual. Here is some coffee money for you and the family. Hope all is well. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it, Dirt Wizard. Tetsuo says, what's up, Josh? I'm not a Marvel person, but Joe Lockett being Wiccan would be sick. Heartstoppers is my favorite vacation from the current Star Wars fandom. Much love. Oh, yeah, that's cool, man. I mean, I don't really watch that show, but I've heard it's really good. And yeah, I do believe that's going to be your Billy Kaplan. 100%. Overbound Game Studio says, not Berman, Rick McCallum. Oh, Rick McCallum. Okay. Let me look this dude up. He's the old Star Trek guy, huh? Interesting. Maybe I'll look more into that. Mariana says, I think Doug Chang should take over Lucasfilm if KK is fired. He's been with the company since 95. He's VP and creative director. Good fit. What say you? It's hard to say. Like, isn't Doug Chang more on the creative side? Like, wouldn't he not have the business mind to do all of those things? Like, I understand what you're saying, and he seems to be like royalty around there. But I don't know that he has the skill set for the job. Maybe they should put Bob Chapek in charge. Oh shit! No, I don't really know McCallum, dude. I for whatever reason, like Star Trek to me is this huge void of like I don't know shit about it. I don't know shit about it, bruh. Yeah, give it to Pablo, man. Give it to Pablo. He produced the prequels? Then he's my favorite. Bring McCallum back. He did the prequels? Oh my god. Okay, yeah, he did the prequels, like I said. He produced the other movies too? Wait, what? Who is this guy? I'm going to have to look into this dude a little bit more here. Okay. Alas, there is another. Interesting. Okay. You were getting Berman and McCallum mixed up. Okay, no worries. Josh, when you said Disney is thinking of firing another person, I immediately thought of Feige. That's interesting. Yeah, I really don't think so, bro. I know, don't get me wrong, I know Phase 4 is a step back, but I don't know if we're talking like a Star Wars level step back. Like, Star Wars was like, we're going to take 3 years off the movies, then take 3 years more. We're also going to make some shit-ass Disney Plus shows and spend way too much on Andor and nobody's going to watch it. That is not the same thing as Phase 4 just not being as good as Phase 3. You know what I mean? But I get it. A lot of people have said that to me. I can't tell, like, if people are just trying to trigger me or if they genuinely believe that. So I'm trying to do better. You know what? It might not seem like it, guys, but I'm trying to do better. I'm trying not to assume the worst of people. Like, maybe it's possible that people actually think Feige's doing that bad of a job. And maybe the best thing I can do is be like, I hear you, but you're also wrong. I don't know. Maybe that's the way. Maybe that's the... Maybe that's the... Maybe. You know, James Cameron would be really interesting to take over Star Wars as well. But I mean, I don't think he wants to do that. And he's old now too, huh? Wild times. Shake up Feige to Star Wars. I mean, that would be fucking incredible. Okay, so imagine this scenario. Last thing of the day. Last point of the day. Everyone is old, man. Hey, don't say that, Damon. What do we think that movie does? Wait, which one? What movie? What are you talking about? You're level 41 on Snap? Well, I'm jealous. I think I'm like 38. Imagine if Nate Moore takes over Feige's duties as running the MCU. and Feige goes over to Star Wars. Thoughts? What about Spielberg? I'd love that, but I don't know if Spielberg really wants to do that, man. Duties. Elon Musk for Star Wars? I think he's got his hands full. Feige had his power stripped away with Chapek, plus he's stretched too thin. Iger power will be restored. Yeah, probably. Kendall says, no, God, no. I don't think Nate Moore is that bad. I think Nate Moore will probably take over eventually. That's what I think. Screw Nate Moore. You don't like Nate Moore? I think Nate Moore is good. I think Nate Moore is the only other producer to get produced by credit on a Marvel movie, too. Usually it's just produced by Kevin Feige, and then they list the producers. But for Wakanda Forever, it said produced by Nate Moore and Kevin Feige. So how about that? Plus, think Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's true. That's true. Nate Moore killed T'Challa. Screw him. Yeah, a lot of people would probably be upset about that, huh? Did you get my member chat? Yes, I did, and I went over it. About the daughter? Yeah, it's tragic, man. Screw Nate Moore. Give me Namor. Oh, I see what you guys are talking about now. I thought you guys were saying Namor. Yeah, no, the fictional ruler of Telecon. What if he ran Star Wars? Low-key better than Kathleen Kennedy, for real. Pretty wild. Yeah. Josh, how you feel if they let me take over Lucasfilm? Yeah, it'd be all right. Give you a shot. All right, guys. I got to get on out of here. Got videos to work on. Got coffee to drink. And blinkers to blink. Put that on a fucking t-shirt. All right. Much love to you all. I'll see you tomorrow where we will react to some crazy videos and hang out together and talk about maybe updates to this story, etc., etc. As I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video. Is everybody gone? Did everybody leave? Ah, man. You know what I thought this morning? I was like, okay, so there's a bunch of really good industry level people that are going to be, you know, doing their streams and their videos throughout the day and reacting to all this news. And I was like, ah, man, but you know who gets to go first, though? But do you know who gets to go first, though? Me. Yeah, that's right. That guy with no business degrees, no real inside connections, no reputation to speak of, will touch base on one of the most important entertainment stories of our time. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the state of the internet. And I fucking love it. And I fucking love it. So I hope you had a good time. I hope you got informed. And most importantly, I hope you had a few laughs. Appreciate you. Open up that third eye. Wash out your butthole!